Let's start off tonight, and of course we'll have some questions here in the crowd. We'll pass the mic around for those of you here at Claim Jumper with us, and if you have any questions for the coach, we'll get those. Also, if you're listening to the program on AM 600 Kogo, the phone number you can call in 858-569-TALK. Yeah, that's 569-TALK. If you have any questions for the coach, Brady Hoke. But let's talk about the victory over New Mexico State first. Just look back before we look forward, Coach, and just kind of your overall assessment of that victory and, some of the good you saw and some of the things that you will be able to work on or are working on with the guys this week.
Well, number one, I think as a team we really complemented each other. When the first half we struggled a little bit offensively, getting in sync and moving the football like we'd like to, running the football, but I think our defense really did a nice job. They went 3 and out 4 times, and I thought they had a couple drives. They moved the ball a little bit, but I thought the defense did a good job. And then when it was 27-21 later in the game, I thought our offense really stepped up, and we gave up the long touchdown pass that you can't do in too deep, and but I thought our offense did a nice job and rallied and put the ball in the end zone. And it really at halftime looked like we were wearing them down. And our kids sensed that a little bit. Their defensive line was getting tired a little bit. And even though they were rotating guys in, that's what our kids talked about at halftime is, that where the attrition factor is starting to happen. So that part of it was great. I think, there were some negatives also, the red zone, then we missed 2 field goals, gave up big plays, which you don't want to do. Only had 1 sack, didn't get a turnover, didn't turn the ball over either, which is awfully good. And so those are the things that we really got to work off. Our kickoff return team is still a little bit of an issue, and we put a lot of work into it, and I think the guys will do a great job this weekend with it. But overall, those are the bad things. The good things, Chris, is, Abel kicked the ball in the end zone 6 times.
Yeah, and that's
nice. For touchbacks, which is great because you get to defend 80 yards. And it's a great weapon that we have. I thought, there's multiple quarterback hits. We had the 1 sack, but I think there were 17 hits on the quarterback where he was on the ground, and by the end of the football game, he wasn't throwing the ball quite as well. He bounced a couple throws and threw some balls high, and so that part of it is all good. And then the running game, being able to run the football and possess the clock and those kind of things.
Coach, we talked about it after the game, and you kind of you said, look, you'd be surprised at what the attitude was down on the sidelines. Because I think the attitude down on your sideline might have been a little different than the attitude we felt in the booth, maybe some of the Aztec fans who were watching, listening to the game. But when it got to 27-21 in the 4th quarter, and in that stadium, man, it really came alive, and the New Mexico State fans started to get geeked up, and their players started to feel it, and they had you backed up a little bit, a 3rd and long, and you guys took a timeout. And I thought, boy, this is a tough spot right now. And you guys really responded well to that and then wound up putting the game away. Rather than letting them back in the game, you guys put the darn thing away. But you told me after the game was that there was really never any doubt on our sideline. And that's a great thing to hear.
Well, a year ago we had 2 games where we didn't finish. And, you look at those kids' eyes on the sideline and they're looking at each other and they're trying to, figure out what they need to do. But on last Saturday night, there wasn't any doubt. They knew what they needed to do. They knew how they had to play. They knew they had to be accountable to each other. And it never felt like that sinking feeling that you get once in a while.
Yeah, the horrible feeling. Instead, it turned out to be a great feeling as San Diego State beat New Mexico State 41-21. Coach, it's no small thing to say you're 2-0. For the first time since 1994. It means a whole lot to a lot of Aztec fans here in San Diego. I teased before we went out about talking about Ronnie Hillman, and I know that you and myself talking to Ronnie a little bit this week, you guys are not the kind of team where any player is ever going to point the finger at themselves and say, yes, I played a great game. Ronnie Hillman says, my guys around me allowed me to have a great game. But at the same time, there was a little excitement that he generated in that game running the ball the other night. And I think, without getting ahead of ourselves, we got to feel like we got something pretty good back there.
Well, he's a talented young man. Obviously, we wouldn't have recruited him. And he's got a different gear. He definitely has that ability. His vision, he has good vision, but he's really just scratching the surface when you look at it of being a good running back and what you want on a down-by-down basis, and you look at the passing game and the protections and some of the two-back runs where the fullback, where Sully's running the ball, he's asked to do some things there that he's got to get better at. And, as he physically matures and mentally matures, he'll just continue to grow. And, I think with a combination of Devon and Walter, Walter Casey's probably the toughest guy on our football team pound for pound. I mean, he is a guy who doesn't mind mixing it up with anybody, and it's a nice change of pace between the three of them.
And you mentioned it too. I mean, the rushing that brings a smile to your face a little bit. There was one touchdown drive that you and I talked about after the game. That was a 59-yard touchdown drive, about 7-8 plays, and every single play was a running play.
Yeah.
And when you can impose your will like that on another football team, you've got the edge. And that's the kind of thing you've been preaching for 2 years.
Well, it helps you in a lot of different areas. It keeps your defense off the field, your time of possession time. And you do. I mean, being a defensive coach my whole life, when somebody can impose their will by running the football on you, that's something that it's a sinking feeling. And when you look at the morale of your football team, and because this is such a mental game,
yep.
It's played from the neck up on game day. I promise you, it really is something that when you can have that satisfaction, then that's a good thing.
All right, just so people are aware, if you're wondering whether the running game might be a little bit better this year than it was last year, San Diego State, you guys rushed for 8 touchdowns the whole season. This year, in 2 games, you've already rushed for 8 touchdowns. And I know, again, you're going to say, so that's good, but we've got a long way to go. But
yeah, we do.
It definitely gives us an idea that things are better. Let's get out to a phone call here, 858-569-TALK, and then we'll pass the mic around here in our next segment at the Claim Jumper and get some questions from the audience here at our coach's show. But Pete is on the line from L.A. with a question for the coach, Brady Hoke. Peter, how are you?
Yes, sir. Hi, Coach. Congratulations on the big win.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it.
I was watching from the comfort of my living room here in Los Angeles, thanks to DirecTV.
Great.
I can watch the games now, but I do plan on being there in person for the next game against Utah State. But I have a question for you, or actually I was just an observation. I wanted to say that I think it's real gutty to go for it on 4th and 1 in both those situations. I agree with you 100%, even though I think we got burned both times. But is there a play that would be better run in that situation, or is it a question of size on the offensive line?
Well, I don't think it's a question of size, number one, and play calling. I think we all self-evaluate, and I know Al and I both have spoke about it, and it's the right calls, and part of going for it was, again, getting back to the mental part of playing a game of football and having some confidence in your offensive line, confidence in those guys running the football, and for goodness sakes, there was 6 inches the one was, and we don't make it. I thought the spot was kind of poor on the first one, but
slightly.
But we've got to make that. If you want to be a football team and if you want to have a toughness and a mentality, you've got to make 4th and 6 inches or 4th and a yard, and so well, and the kids did a good job. They did a good job of picking us up. I mean, they went out there and competed. They got the touchdown on the one that was in our own territory. But, the kids responded well, and that's kind of, the confidence that you as a coach, you showing to them.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, Coach, and I talked about it on the broadcast when you went, first drive of the game, your own 40-yard line. And again, even though you didn't make that, you do earn a lot of points, I think, with your players. I mean, I think they say, hey, man, we can't let him down, and we did let him down, so we got to come back and pick it up the next time. So you end up getting rewarded, I think, for making a call like that. And then I know when we talked after the game, you said, yes, our running game was great. I'm really happy. And then you said, but we better start making those 4th and 6 inches or I'm not going to be happy.
Well, there's going to be games where we need to keep possession of the ball late in the game, and you may have to do that. There's, you want to steal a possession if you can from the other team with some of the offenses that will play, throughout the year. And so, it was just a matter, and you believe me, I didn't flinch. I knew right then, and I knew where the ball position was, but I trust our defense. I trust how those kids play, and I think as a team, you've got to be able to understand that and move forward.
You played down there a couple of times, yes, and faced the coach Gary Piquel and brought your Ball State team in there a couple of times. So
Pinkel,
I'm sorry. So you're familiar with that and him, and but your guys aren't familiar with Missouri, and I mean, it's going to be a big time setting and sold out crowd. And how do you approach a game against a big-time opponent? I mean, let's be honest. You can say we want to treat all the games the same, but we all know this is a big game. And for the fans and these kids, I'm sure they're excited. So do you try to take that away and make it the same old thing?
Well, we have a schedule that we stay with. I mean, we have a routine, and I know that Friday night I'll measure the field, and it will be 100 yards or 120 yards long and 53 yards.
Will you actually
plus.
go measure?
Yeah. I fly some guys in, and they do the measuring with the night vision goggles, and we make sure, it's a football game. And these guys have been playing all their lives. They've been training for a long time. And I think the mistake you made is you make more out of it than it really is, because it's another opportunity we have. We were guaranteed 12 of them. We have 10 left. And, we just got to go out there and take care of ourselves and not get carried away and all the other stuff that goes with playing on the road and the logistics and all those things. And, our kids did a great job last weekend. I mean, they handled themselves exactly like we wanted them to in a very business-like manner. And that's how you have to handle those things, because when you start making big deals about this is 25th ranked team in the country, well, so what? I mean, you got to go play the game, and that's why, they kick it off and they do all those things. So to me, I think you can make way too much of it.
All right, Aztecs in Missouri. Let me ask you, Coach, real quick before we get a couple questions up here at the Claim Jumper about your offensive line and the way they've played so far this year. Lindley has not been sacked. You do have a back-to-back 200-yard rushing games. And you've had this five-man group, to me, looks like they're together. I mean, Coach Funk seems to have these kids really playing. You talked a lot in the offseason about getting stronger and all of that thing. And I'm seeing, we're seeing some push on the line. We're seeing some execution. I'm seeing Nick Embernati and Alec Johnson, your two guards, just wearing themselves out, pulling in front of plays around the edges.
Right.
These guys are giving you a hell of an effort so far.
Well, I think Daryl's done a really good job. I mean, and Daryl's not an easy guy to play for.